Okay, I want you to imagine for just a second that you are fast asleep, and suddenly you realize you're dreaming. If you could completely control that dream world, what would you do? Would you grow wings and fly over the clouds? Would you travel back in time to ancient Rome? Or maybe you just want to totally distort the laws of physics. Because for most of us, dreams are just something that happened to us, right? We show up naked to work, or we're falling, and we just kind of accept it as reality until we wake up. But there's this incredible state of sleep that offers the ultimate promise of control. And crazy enough, according to the Sleep Foundation, about 55% of people have actually experienced this at least once in their lives. They've naturally realized they were dreaming while still smack in the middle of a dream. But for most of us, it's just a really fleeting moment. Taking active, conscious control over that dream in real time, now that is incredibly rare. Welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're exploring this really fascinating intersection between surreal fantasy and hard neuroscience. We're looking at the science of lucid dreaming. We're going to dive into what literally happens inside our brains when we wake up inside a dream and how science says we can actually train ourselves to do it. Okay, let's dive into this. First, awake inside your dreams. Then, the lucid brain and REM. Third, how to take control. 4, healing through dream control. And finally, the mystery of consciousness. So, part 1, awake inside your dreams. Let's start by nailing down exactly what this unique state of consciousness actually is. A lucid dream is, well, exactly what it sounds like. It's when you become completely aware that you're dreaming while you're still fast asleep. There's this sudden moment of just crisp clarity where you realize, wait a minute, I definitely don't have wings, so this has to be a dream. Now, this is really distinct from a normal vivid dream. You can have a super detailed, vivid dream that you remember perfectly when you wake up, but if you didn't have that in-the-moment awareness that it wasn't real, it wasn't a lucid dream. In a true lucid state, advanced dreamers can actively alter the plot, transform themselves, and completely change their environment. And this actually illustrates a super common point of confusion. We really need to differentiate a lucid dream from an out-of-body experience, or an OB. A lot of people think they're the same thing, but researchers point out they are almost total opposites. In a lucid dream, you know you're inside a dream. You recognize the illusion. But during an out-of-body experience, a person feels like they're floating outside their physical body, and they genuinely believe what they're experiencing is happening in waking reality. Lucid dreaming is grounded firmly in knowing exactly what is real and what is not. And this isn't just some new age fad either. Human fascination with dream awareness goes back thousands of years. I mean, Aristotle wrote about sleep awareness in ancient Greece. In ancient Tibet, Buddhists practiced a form of it called dream yoga, where the goal was to recognize the world for what it is, completely free from illusion. Fast forward a bit to 1913, and a Dutch psychiatrist named Frederik van Eden officially coined the term lucid dream. He meticulously recorded his own nighttime adventures, and honestly, quite a few of them involved flying. Part 2, the lucid brain in REM. So what is physically happening inside our heads when we experience this? Well, science confirms that lucid dreams almost exclusively happen during REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. This is the stage where our brain activity actually shoots up to levels almost identical to when we're wide awake. But remarkably, during REM, our bodies are temporarily paralyzed. Your neurotransmitters essentially turn off your motor neurons. And this is just nature's brilliant way of keeping us safe, right? It stops us from physically acting out our dreams and, say, repeatedly kicking our bed partner while we dream about playing soccer. Now, what's really interesting about this is the specific brain mechanics at play. During a normal REM dream, the lateral prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that handles logic, is essentially conked out. It's asleep. That is exactly why we just blindly accept absolutely bizarre, illogical dream plots without questioning them. But according to sleep researchers, during a lucid dream, it appears this logic center actually wakes up. So you have the dreaming mechanisms and the logic mechanisms firing at the exact same time. Your brain is literally generating a fantasy and simultaneously analyzing it as a fantasy. Part 3, how to take control. Which brings us to the big question everyone asks. If this is just a biological process, can we trigger it on demand? The answer is yes. Researchers have developed several totally science-backed techniques. One of the most famous and effective ones comes from psychophysiologist Stephen LaBerge. It's called the MILD technique, mnemonic induction of lucid dreams. And it goes like this. When you wake up from a dream in the middle of the night, try to recall it as fully as possible. Look for what he calls dream signs. Totally illogical things like breathing underwater. Then set a really firm intention by repeating to yourself, when I begin dreaming, I will remember I'm dreaming. Finally, visualize yourself re-entering that exact dream, but this time catching that dream sign. And you just repeat this until you drift back to sleep. That actually builds into another fascinating method called SILD, or Senses-Initiated Lucid Dream. This one is a bit newer, but it shows incredibly similar success rates. Basically, as you're falling back asleep, you cycle your focus through your senses. First, focus on your vision behind your closed eyelids. You don't look for anything specific, just notice the darkness or whatever shapes pop up. Then, shift to your hearing, noticing internal or external sounds. Then focus on body sensations, like the physical weight of your blankets. Cycling through these senses primes your mind and body, making you highly observant and way more likely to notice that bizarre transition into the dream world. And to support these techniques, researchers highly recommend reality testing during your waking hours. The whole idea is to build a habit of questioning your realities so thoroughly during the day that you instinctively end up doing it while you're asleep. You ask yourself, am I dreaming? And then you perform a physical test. Because in reality, physics work. In a dream, they don't. So you might try to push a finger through your opposite palm. In waking life, it stops. But in a dream, boom, it might just go right through. Or try reading some text, looking away and looking right back. In a dream, that text will almost always morph into complete nonsense. If you can build this habit, you just might catch your own brain in the act of dreaming. Part 4. Healing through dream control. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't just about fun party tricks or flying over Paris. For people suffering from PTSD or chronic, terrifying nightmares, sleep is absolutely not a sanctuary. It's a battleground. But researchers have found that lucid dreaming exercises can actually serve as a highly effective treatment here. By teaching nightmare sufferers how to recognize they're in a dream, they can actively alter the narrative. They can turn around and face the monster, they can change the environment, or they can simply just wake themselves up. It literally allows trauma survivors to salvage their rest and take their power back from their own subconscious. It is a profound therapeutic tool built entirely within the mind. Part 5. The mystery of consciousness. Zooming out for a second, what does all of this tell us about who and what we actually are? I think the absolutely crucial point is simply this. A lucid dreamer recognizes the dream world for what it is, a dream. And that ties modern neuroscience right back to those ancient Buddhist mystics practicing dream yoga. Both are seeking non-dual awareness, right? The ability to look at an illusion, whether it's generated by our own sleeping brains or the waking world, and see reality clearly. It's basically the ultimate exercise in self-awareness. But it leaves us with an incredible, lingering mystery. Because as much as we know about REM sleep and the prefrontal cortex, scientists are still trying to unlock the deepest secrets of human consciousness. How exactly does a biological lump of tissue, a brain, while entirely disconnected from the outside world, spin up an entire virtual reality, populate it with characters, perfectly simulate physics, and then suddenly become completely self-aware from inside the simulation? We are still just scratching the surface of what the human mind is truly capable of. Think about it. If your own brain can build an entire universe while you sleep, what else is it hiding from you? Keep questioning your reality. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.